For those of you that are new to Here's Your Next Rabbit Hole, this is an interactive show that will take the episode of a famous TV show or a movie and asks ungoogleable questions. Questions that you guys can provide the answers to in the comment section below. Right now, we'll focus on the very first episode of the TV series MASH. Now, for those of you that don't know, a guy named Richard Hooker wrote a book in the late 1960s called MASH, a novel about three army doctors. It was about his recollections about working in a mobile army hospital during the Korean War in the early 1950s. This book was then made into a movie in 1971 and simply called MASH. The movie was then picked up as a TV series, also called MASH, and evolved over 11 seasons. Here are some fun, ungoogleable questions for you guys to provide the answers for in the comments section below.
Here's your next rabbit hole. There's unanswered questions about films and TV shows. Please answer in the comments section below. Like, subscribe, and let that notification bell toll. Here's your next rabbit hole.
G'day and welcome to Here's Your Next Rabbit Hole. I'm your mate from down under, Southern Joe. As a reminder, this episode will look at the ungoogleable questions of the pilot episode of MASH. So Season 1, Episode 1. And the opening sequence for the whole series shows two doctors who we learn are Trapper John and Hawkeye teeing off like they're on a driving range. All good, but the title underneath says Korea 1950, 100 years ago. Now, what do you guys think that means? Does it mean that this episode will only be relevant and accurate in the year 2050? Now, we see Houlihan and Burns are reading together. Margaret Houlihan is reading an army manual. Well, what do you expect from a career woman? But Frank Burns, who is married, is reading from a Bible, all while playing footsies with Margaret and breaking the adultery commandment. What do you guys think of that situation? The last shot seen before those famous opening credits is one of the few times where Radar's real-life left-hand deformities are clearly seen in shot. The PA then announces that there are incoming choppers and so forth. Now, if you guys only answer one question, it has to be this. Where do these PA announcements come from? It can't be from the company clerk's office because there have been other scenes in that office and someone's making an announcement from somewhere else. In this episode, it is also funny that the doctors have a houseboy named Ho-John. Now, even though they treat Ho-John well, why don't they object to a local young person being used as a servant, much like the girl they rescued from the sergeant in the Moose episode of a later episode? As for Ho-John getting into Hawkeye's alma mater, how did Ho-John get such good grades when there's a civil war going on? Now, as good-looking as Lieutenant Dish was, if I was engaged to her, I wouldn't want her letting some other guy nosh on her neck and tell him it drives her crazy, which obviously gives Hawkeye the idea he still has a chance with her. I would especially be upset if my so-called fiancé agreed to be the bait for a weekend away for two to Tokyo. Surely there's none of you out there disagreeing with me on that one. When Frank gets sedated and they start wrapping his head, how does he breathe with the way they've wrapped him up? In these two screenshots, the party to raise Ho-John's tuition is in full swing, and Margaret is searching for Frank, who has been missing. Why are they drinking alcohol when they know they'll soon be dealing with a deluge of casualties? Also, if you ever see this episode, look at Lieutenant Dish's looks that she gives to her direct superior. Funny how nothing was ever made of that. After Hot Lips makes a call to General Hammond to get him to come down and do something about Hawkeye and Trapper, she goes out searching for Frank. In her travels, she sees that a patient, now we all know it's really Frank, is in need of his hourly shot. which Margaret is about to administer herself. Question is why? She's not the on-duty nurse. Does anybody with hospital knowledge know if this procedure is allowed to be done? Now, for those of you that don't know, the actor playing Father Mulcahy gets replaced after this episode with the guy who will play the Padre for the rest of the show's run. Now, back to the story. Father Mulcahy wins the raffle for the weekend away with the nurse. Why would a Catholic priest enter in the first place? The episode finishes off with a mystery PA announcer announcing that the following personnel are assigned to the 4077th Mobile Army Hospital. Alan Alda, well, it goes without saying. Wayne Rogers and McLean Stevenson will leave in a later series. Loretta Swit, she also stays the whole course. G. Wood, now, he's based in Seoul, and do we ever see him again? Larry Linville, well, he goes bye-bye in a later series. Same with Gary Burghoff. Karen Phillip as Lieutenant Dish has a major part in the pilot episode, but only gets a couple of more bits in other episodes. George Morgan's replaced by William Christopher as the Padre, who makes it his own. Pat Diarte, well, we just had a farewell party for him, but he appears in a few more episodes afterwards anyway. And Timothy Brown and Odessa Cleveland are only seen sparingly after this pilot episode. So, what do you think? Any or many questions that you can answer? MASH is one of the all-time great shows, and I'd love to know what answers you guys can come up with. Also, watch some previous episodes, especially about Good Morning Vietnam, and watch for the next rabbit hole, going back to the TV series Frasier and dealing with a certain ethnic relative. Am I right?
Here's your next rabbit hole. There's unanswered questions about films and TV shows. Please answer in the comments section below. Like, subscribe, and let that notification bell toll. Here's your next rabbit hole.